Supply chain security. Well, joining us today to speak about that is Jamies Rutherford, Director of Sales Supply Chain at Vector Security Networks. Jamie, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Good morning, Russell.
Let's talk about this issue of security in supply chain. Let's talk about emerging trends that you are seeing surrounding that.
Right.
What do you say? What are you seeing?
The traditional bedrock products of security, video, access control, intrusion, fire, they're not going anywhere. What I have seen specifically around the supply chain world is ingenuity, creativity, innovation within each one of those. Quite frankly, it's hard to keep up with it. It's changing almost daily. You look at just video alone, record video sales in the US last year, the amount of artificial intelligence, the clarity, the really, at the risk of being redundant, the innovation that's going in just to that piece of security is just absolutely mind-blowing. And as I said before, hard to keep up with.
Well, it's very difficult to keep up with all the innovation in the IT world. So let's talk about this. How do you see IT driving decision-making in that world? What do you say?
More and more, they are at the forefront. So if you go, just rewind the clock maybe 2 or 3 years, loss prevention, facilities management, they were at the front of the decision-making tree. IT was always there as an influencer, but they rarely, if ever, had the final say. When you look at the level or the advance of security systems, alarm systems that are going into supply chain facilities, warehouses, distribution centers, just the expanse of the cameras, the access control, put a real drain on a systems network. Therefore, IT obviously has a real concern because now that network is used to run the business. And so if you're streaming video from 12 cameras, not so much of a concern. You're streaming video from 120 cameras, now there's a big concern because the rest of the business is impacted. So, network services and what that brings to the IT forefront, they have really kind of moved into the lead chair or co-chair of the decision-making tree in a lot of situations.
Most interesting, I must say. I want to talk about product innovation, and then I guess in connection with that, I want to talk about risk mitigation, which is obviously a very big deal, always has been in supply chain management. How big a factor do you see risk mitigation being in product innovation in that space? What do you say?
When you talk to the end users, somewhere in that thread, in a discovery conversation about what their pain points are, risk is going to come up. You were talking about million square foot facilities, conveyor belts, racking systems, shelving systems that go 30 feet in the air, people on forklift trucks. Lots of things can go wrong. There's a lot of moving parts in a warehouse. So not only protecting the human element, but protecting the product element is of paramount importance to the decision makers, whether they be in risk, whether they be in IT, whether they be in loss prevention. One wrong turn on a forklift, you could have a disaster that takes a while to climb out from under. So I think risk mitigation is always top of mind in the decision making.
I want to turn to what we might call traditional security products, if we might. Things like fire, things like intrusion, that sort of thing. I guess the question then is, how big a deal is that? How much of a firm basis is that for a solid ROI?
I don't think those core products are ever going anywhere. As I mentioned in the first question, what we see is those core products really taking on kind of a new flair with the advancements in artificial intelligence, with just all of the different things that people are taking those traditional products and doing with them today. I don't want to be company specific, but there are really some neat things. Well, here we are, a ProMat, right? And everybody is showing their wares. And so if you're talking about any of those core products, they are being enhanced by someone, oftentimes many people. The other reason I think that they are the basis of a solid ROI is because in some cases they're mandated by law. For instance, you can't open a warehouse or a distribution center without having a fire system or fire monitoring system that is blessed by your local fire marshal. So those things are going to be here for the foreseeable future.
Well, I do want to get company specific right now because No doubt somebody out there, one of the viewers out there says, well, I'm not entirely sure what vector security is all about. Surely the name suggests security, but tell me more about the specific focus of the company and how it is that you are optimizing the operations of your customer base. Well, if they put that question to you, what would you tell them?
Well, I think one of the things I would start with is we have a very rich history. Our company dates back to Benjamin Franklin and the Philadelphia Contribution Ship. We literally monitor hundreds of thousands of sites from a residential and small business side. And more recently, the division that I work in, Vector Security Networks, has taken on the larger commercial, multi-site, multi-state initiative. More specifically within Vector Security Networks over the last year, I was hired to really launch a supply chain initiative focused on that market because it is quite different from retail, residential, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just, in a nutshell, I love working for Vector, primarily for one reason. We are very flexible. I would say probably 90 to 95% of everything that we do, both proactively and reactionary, are driven by customer demands. We have a pain point, we search the market, we can't find a solution, they come to us, and more often than not, we can put a Band-Aid on that pain point.
Well, as I said, risk mitigation has been a big, big deal, is today, and will always be
Absolutely.
in supply chain. So what you're doing is very good work.
Yeah.
Jamie, I know you're busy here at the ProMat conference, but you found time to speak with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russell.
It's Jamies Rutherford, Vector Security Networks, speaking with us today about ensuring security in your supply chain. Thanks for watching.